Hey there, this is Ross Izzard, and this is the Backcountry Fly Fishing Podcast, where we talk about fly fishing while we're sitting in a tent somewhere in the woods. So this is the first edition of what I'm calling a field journal, and that's a little bit hokey. You'll be forgiven for making fun of me for it if you really want to, but it's an idea that I've had for a while. I've actually had it suggested by a few different listeners and some friends. The idea being that it would be kind of fun and maybe interesting to record some of these podcasts when I am actually out in the woods doing this crazy backcountry fly fishing thing that we're here to talk about. So that's what I am doing today. And it is the first time that we've done this. It might be the last time that we do it. I guess we'll see how it goes. But it's actually an interesting thing. I think there's an interesting set of silos in my brain related to the podcast, which is obviously about being outside, being in the backcountry, respecting wild places, chasing fish, fly fishing, and then also doing those things. And even though they're closely related, because obviously we're here talking about them and we're all passionate about them, they are different and they occupy different slots in my brain. So mixing those two things together into a single channel is kind of an interesting experience. And it is, in some ways, sort of more of an authentic experience, I think, because I guess you think about things a little bit differently when you're actually in them, as opposed to when you're just relaying them after the fact. So let me paint a picture for you here. I am sitting about 3.5 or 4 miles up a very rough 4x4 road. I had to leave the Subaru at home this time. I took the faithful little truck because I suspected it would take a beating, and sure enough, it has taken a beating. So this is not a hiking trip. It is a off-roading / 4x4 trip, and I am exploring a small tributary of another larger tributary of a really big river here in the southern part of Colorado. I'm down here for work, as it happens. I'm here for a board meeting, and I thought, well, why the hell not? I should just throw my stuff in the truck and bring it with me and go scope out something new. So I'm here exploring it. And I'm in a canyon that runs for about 9 miles. It starts at the very, very bottom near a highway. It goes through a residential sort of ranch area, and then it turns into a dirt road that's okay. And then it turns into this really gnarly 4x4 road full of rocks and deadfall. I mean, I was getting out of the truck and picking trees up off the road in a couple cases so I could get around them. I mean, it's pretty gnarly to the point that I've been concerned that I might pop a tire or break my suspension, which sadly it wouldn't be the first time I've done either of those things, but I prefer not to when I can avoid it. And the goal is really to check out this stream. Now at the top of this road there's a big alpine lake. It's actually a reservoir, so it's not a natural lake. It's full of pretty large cutthroat. It sits just under 12,000 feet, but it's actually iced off, which is shocking. I'm recording this it's July 10th as I record this. These lakes really shouldn't be iced off at this point, not at that elevation, but this one is, and there's hardly any snow. And so that's up there, and it's on my list, and I might get up to check it out. But that's not really why I'm here. I'm here to check the small stream flowing out of that lake. And it's really been quite an interesting experience because it's a really, really tiny creek. It's probably maybe 10 to 12 feet wide at the widest. It's full of really healthy, albeit small and pretty hardy brook trout. And it is incredibly difficult to navigate. I mean, there is deadfall down across the river all over the place. Looks like pine beetles have been in here, so we've got dead trees everywhere. Really thick underbrush, lots of gooseberries with thorns. There's poison ivy in here. And it just is a really difficult traverse, both on the bank to access the river to begin with from the road, and then beyond that, and that's not to mention the cliffs. There are an awful lot of pretty big cliffs in here too. It's not easy to access, and even once you're in it, it's very difficult to fish and to wade, right? Because you're constantly climbing over or under deadfall. You're constantly trying to drop your fly into this really small sort of pocket behind a rock or behind a log, just really, really tiny technical water, which is really a lot of fun. The challenge is, I guess sometimes you forget what it's like to fish in places that are really genuinely hard. And this one is really genuinely hard. So I spent my afternoon, I drove up, I bumped myself along that road. I managed not to break my truck. I found a camping spot like I said, 3 or 4 miles in, pitched my tent in a very small clearing about 20 or 30 feet back from the creek. Most of you probably know this, but pro tip, you don't ever really want to pitch your tent right next to a creek, because if it floods, you could have a bad time. So higher ground and set back is the way you want to go. And also, if you happen to be in an area with a bunch of dead trees and high wind, which is a lot of canyons in the West, be very careful about where you put your tent, because there have been people that have been injured or killed, just basically squished, by falling trees, especially in the night when you're not aware of it. So be careful about where you put that tent. But anyway, I found a good campsite. I got it set up. I pitched my tent, I got everything unloaded, everything ready to go, and then I hit the river, and I fished for about 3 hours, which, in a normal place would be a pretty significant amount of fishing, but in this one was very, very challenging, as I mentioned. And so I only caught a handful of fish on account of the fact that there weren't a lot of places to fish, and in the places where I was fishing, you only really get one shot, and if you miss it, then you're screwed. And I still had an awesome time. There are places where I would be disappointed with that, but I'm not disappointed with that in this place, because it really has its own character. And I guess I'm happier with the experience than I am with the fish. And that kind of got me thinking as I'm sitting here doing this field journal episode about the fact that, I came here to explore this new place. Obviously, I wanted to see it. It's been on my list for a little while. And so to some extent, it is sort of like a box check. But it's not really a box check, because it isn't like, okay, I came and I caught a fish, and now I've done it, so bye-bye. It really feels a lot more intimate than that. It feels like I have really been able to get connected with this particular canyon, this particular stream, this particular landscape in a way that I'm not sure I could in any way other than backcountry fly fishing. Not only did I have to deal with the road and the access and everything that goes into that, I had to find a campsite. I had to deal with the environment that way. I had to pay attention to the weather. I had to pay attention to the way the wind gets channeled down the canyon walls, what kind of trees are around me, what shape those trees are in, where I could put the tent, any animal sign around me, and then of course the stream itself, hopping in and actually fly fishing this teeny tiny stream for brook trout. And it got me thinking about the fact that, too often I think fly fishers and even backcountry anglers, if we're being honest, tend to approach the sport as a collection of locations, almost like these are Pokemon cards. I want to go fish this place and fish that place and fish this place and catch this species and go to this lake. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. I suppose in some ways we all do different versions of that. But it is really deeper than that. It's really, for me, less about just going and saying I'm done. I already know, after having been here for just a little bit of time, that I'll be back to this place because I want to explore it further. And the word that keeps coming back into my head about that is relationship. We are not really collecting locations. We're not checking boxes. We're not making a list, although I'm sure at least some of you do. But I am building a relationship with the places that I go to. I am trying to not just touch them one time and call it good, but to really get in there and dig on them, go back, visit them, learn more, push deeper, get farther, navigate the obstacles that stopped me last time. That's a form of relationship, right? And I'm documenting it with photographs, with videos. I sometimes write or journal while I'm out here. Obviously, in this instance, I'm sitting in a dark tent talking to you all. And it really is, it's much more intimate than just going to a place to say that you went to a place. It's about really starting to understand the place, the things that shaped it, the patterns around it, the things that make it unique, the things that make it difficult or the things that make it easy, the ecology of the stream, the general health of the environment here, the weather patterns, the scenery, the rock types, everything goes into it. And so it's so much more than just standing in a stream and fishing in a different creek. It's really sort of experiencing a new place. And it's like meeting a new person. You meet a new person and they're a person, just like a creek is a creek and a river is a river to some extent, person's a person. but they're just different. Their personality is different, their vibe is different, their experience and their history is different, their path is different. And it's really no different for us in these wild places. We're trying to get to know them. And we're trying to get to know them because I think the connection that we're building goes so much deeper than just fish or fishing. And I know we talk about that all the time, so I don't want to beat a dead horse too hard. But really what we're doing here is building connection with things that are bigger than us and more wild than us, older than us, and largely indifferent to us. These places exist whether we do or not. They exist whether we visit them or not. They don't care about us, as I say very often. And we're going to sort of earn a place in those spots. Sort of like we talked about earlier this season where we mentioned the idea of beauty and judgment and consequence in backcountry locations. That really all goes into the character of a place. And I don't know if you guys are like me, but when I leave a place like this, so I'll only be here for one night. Unfortunately, that's all I have time for here. I fish tonight. I'll camp tonight. I will fish some more in the morning, God willing, and then I'll hit the road. But when I leave with a very unique stamp from the place. I remember all of those little details. I remember how it felt to be there. I remember what made it different and what set it apart. And I often find myself thinking about it for quite a while after I leave. And that may sound kind of hokey. I mean, some people are like, hey, dude, a fish is a fish, a stream's a stream, who cares? But for me, that's not really it. This is a different place. It has a completely different character, a different personality, and I'm going to remember that the same way as if I had met and built a relationship with another person. And on top of that, I find that these places become sort of memory banks for me. You probably have heard me say before that water holds memory. I don't mean that literally in some kind of woo-woo sense, but I do connect seasons of my life and certain memories and certain events and certain occasions and certain chapters with these places. And so not only did I get to experience this place, but I now associate this place with a very specific sort of time in my life, and a very specific developmental arc in my life, and a very specific becoming phase in my life. And it becomes almost a container for that. So if I come back to this place later this year, I'm going to remember that feeling. And if I come back in 2 years, I'm probably going to remember that feeling. The same way that certain canyons remind me of my mom, and certain lakes remind me of previous chapters in my life, or relationships, or hardships, or challenges, or successes. They sort of hold those things for us. And it's interesting because to me, it really does feel like sitting down with someone, really taking the time to get to know them on an intimate level, sharing with them whatever you happen to have going on in your life, and then allowing them to hold that for you, and knowing that when you come back to commune with them or talk to them again, they're still going to have that memory, and they will be there ready for you to go even deeper. So guys, this is going to be a short episode here. Obviously, it's in a tent. You probably don't need to hear me talking for an hour as I get ready for bed, but that's just what I'm musing on here as I'm sitting in the dark woods. The very last little bit of dusk is about to disappear here into the night. I have things to do before I go to bed, and pretty soon I will be laying down and hoping that whatever moose left droppings all over this area and hair all over this area doesn't visit me in the night. But in any case, it's time for me to start settling down. This is what's on my mind, and I thought for the first time that maybe it would be fun to just share it here. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please let me know. Feel free to send me an email at backcountryflyfishingpodcast@gmail.com. Send me a DM on the Backcountry Fly Fishing Podcast Instagram account, or look me up however you want. I'll probably see it eventually no matter where you do it. But let me know what you think. This is something that I'd really like to potentially incorporate into future seasons. I've enjoyed doing it, and I'd like to do it again. So let me know, and I hope you guys are either at home, warm and safe, and having a good time, or maybe, if we're lucky, listening to this on your way to get to know another wild place that maybe I've never heard of. Take care, guys. We'll see you back here real soon. Till next time, this is Ross. Maybe I'll see you out there. As long as this moose doesn't get me first.